Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler. I'm your host Wally, and today we are in the Texas Forest Trail in Nacogdoches, Texas. Now here we are at the Charles Bryant Visitor Center, which helps establish what the whole purpose of Nacogdoches is. It's a really deep historic town, so I'm going to try to go slow and try to cover everything because there's a lot of history that dates back to the 1700s. So I hope I get it all right. So, first of all, it's known as the oldest town in Texas. It was in a place that used to be a cattle Indian village, but in 1716 they established a Spanish mission there. And Colonel Antonio Gil Ibarbo, I hope I got that right, went back in 1779 after they had all been kicked off to San Antonio. He went back in 1779 because they missed the area. It was close to their home in Louisiana, in Nacogdoches. So they went back and they decided to found the town of Nacogdoches. This town was right on the Camino de los Tejas, which went from Mexico City all the way to Nacogdoches in Louisiana. And here you see the flag of the one of the many rebellions that occurred here. I think that was the Fredonian Republic from 1826 to 1827, which it has a whole bunch of historic markers around this museum. Like seriously, just walking around town, you bump into a historical marker, maybe even trip over one. My next stop was the Stone Fort Museum, which is a replica. It was done in 1936, but this area here has been used by people for over 10,000 years. This stone replica is now at Stephen F. Austin University, and it talks about the history of the area, including El Camino de los Tejas and the Caddo Indians, as well as other things in the area, industry and pioneer days, and so on. Here's the Camino. This is how far we've driven all throughout. You can see it's got many interlocking roads, and finally we're there in Nacogdoches in San Agustin. And there's a stone fort. They're really proud of the stone fort. But this used to be the gateway to Texas for a lot of United States citizens. They'd have to stop here, and I guess that was their immigration stop, and they would come in and live in Texas. So check out this cool little museum if you have a chance when you're here at Nacogdoches. Definitely sets the mood. Also, you can pass by the last remaining cattle mound in Nacogdoches. Nacogdoches used to be in what was once a cattle village. They used to have a lot of their mounds there, but a lot of them got dug up or like ran over, so now only one of them remains. And it's not really that big of a mound, but it's still the last mound there, so poor little thing. Go visit it, pat it on the head. We also have the Stern Hoya House Museum. Now, this place is important to Texas history because David Crockett has stayed here. Sam Houston lived here for a while. In fact, Sam Houston got baptized in this house because in order to own land in Texas at the time, you needed to become a Mexican citizen. And to become a Mexican citizen, you had to be Catholic. So, this town has the Stern Hoya House Museum, where you get to find out about Sam Houston's time here. Now, he lived here with Adolphus Stern, that was his name. And he was half Jewish, half Lutheran, mostly Jewish, but he was quite a character. He used to pretend to be a merchant, but would really be smuggling in weapons for all the different rebellions that occurred here. He was actually put on a death sentence, but since he was a Freemason, he was able to pretty much get away with everything, get away scot-free. So he was crafty, he was wily, and he was Sam Houston's friend, and there he is, Adolphus Stern. He was eventually baptized by his wife because his wife was a big Catholic, and she supported him and everything like that. But if you come here, there's a library, there's a wine cellar where they kept all their wines, and they were a pretty popular couple here, and they helped a lot for the Texas Revolution. And also there's a lot of creepy dolls in this house, so I'm not sure I would want to live there. But it's a pretty cool museum, pretty interesting, has a lot of history, so definitely go check it out if you can. It's close to downtown, so it's not you don't have to drive out of town or anything like that. Now I'm going to look at the Durst Taylor House and Gardens. Now this house is your typical 1830s pioneer homestead type of house. It's got its blacksmith shop, its molasses making equipment, its chicken coop, where of course you keep chickens, and little gardens and farming area and barn. The barn has been converted into a nice little museum that showcases all the different historical eras of Nacogdoches. You get to learn a lot about it, and a lot happened here in this town. Like, this video could not do it justice. Seriously, this town is crazy full of history, and this house was typical of the era. It was right on the main street at the time, where all the hustle and bustle would happen. And back then, in order to make extra money, you would have an extra room where you would let people sleep in who were passing through town, which sounds kind of crazy to me. You just show up at a town looking for lodging, and people are like, oh, I know somebody who has a bedroom that you can sleep in. But there's a historical marker I was talking about, so it's a pretty cool place. And here we have Antonio Gil Ibarbo, who co-founded the town, and Deidre A.W. Rolfs, who was one of the major architects in the area, and Thomas J. Rusk, who served as a representative for Texas and had a lot to do with the Texas Revolution and signed the Declaration of Independence for Texas and everything, so he's pretty famous. Then we have the storytellers, different people from the area who are famous for their writing. They're remembered here. And then the treaty between Sam Houston and Chief Bowles, who helped the Cherokee become friends with Sam Houston, which lasted all of his life. Plus they have the running to the fight for the volunteers. That's how we remember them. And Carl Wilson Baker, who used to be a writer, lived in the area. And this one celebrates the country doctors that used to go out and help kids and all that. And George L. Crockett, who was a religious leader in the area. And finally, Stephen F. Austin, who has his namesake university there. It's got a statue. And also in Nacogdoches is Oak Grove Cemetery, which is a pretty old cemetery with the final resting place of Mr. Rusk. And there you have it. That is Nacogdoches. So much history, so little time. Go check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.